Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angryprepper. So today's video, we're going to talk about how to survive in the city. Now, we're talking about real-time survival. We're not talking about shit hits the fan. We're not talking about the end of the world kind of shit. We're talking about now, today, while the crime's still going on, while there's still police in the street, while there's still ambulances running around and fire trucks, right? So we're talking about how to navigate, negotiate, how to get through in a city like this and survive. Now, the last couple of weeks, like I said before, my last video on New York City, this video here, there's been a lot of shootings, guys, a lot. Yesterday, for example, last night, if you will, we responded to a rubbish fire, right? So rubbish fire is little garbage that's on fire, and this rubbish fire was on the top of a setback on a building. As we're walking to get to the rubbish fire, there was an actual shooting being investigated by the cops. They had the streets roped off, if you will, or taped off, and there were shell casings on the floor. I almost stepped on one. I looked down, the cop was had his foot by it, marking where the shell casing was. And anyway, this probably happened, I don't know, maybe half hour, 45 minutes, an hour before we got there for something unrelated, which was the rubbish fire. So now we're starting to entertain that. Now, I've been on the job 17 years. I have never responded to a fire or a rubbish fire while there was another crime or an investigation of a crime going down. So that was interesting. Not weird, not, it was interesting. That being said, if you're walking around here in the city, you have to have your head on a swivel, right? So it's a term that you use in football, right? So when I played for the FDNY football team, I was pretty much like a glorified water boy. But anyway, when I played for the FDNY football team, that was the first time I heard the term, keep your head on a swivel, meaning you always have to keep looking around to make sure that you're not going to get blindsided by someone running into you or at you. In the city, you do not want to fucking be taken by surprise. You do not want to have some guy popping up out of nowhere with a gun holding you, holding you, not hostage, but holding you until he gets all your shit. You want to be walking around the street with your head on a swivel. You want to be walking around making sure that you see two guys fighting. You try not to go over there because you don't know where that fight's going to go. You don't know if it's going to turn into a fist fight, knife fight, or gun fight. So you see those two guys arguing, you're like, I'm not going down that block. No, I'm not. I'm going to cross the street, right? You got to make sure you know what's going on at all times. Now, the Citizen app, right? This app helps you navigate the city in some sort of a way. But on the Citizen app, the crimes are reported after they happened, right? Sometimes they happen. Sometimes they're reported while they're happening, like people fighting in the street, kids fighting in the street, kids acting wild. You'll see those notifications come up. So when you're in a city like New York, because the crime is getting worse, because the crime is getting bad, you are absolutely walking around out here on your own. Cops show up after the fact, and yes, sometimes they're there to deter crime from happening, but they're not always there. They're probably stretched thin now because so many cops are leaving, right? And they can't be everywhere at once. But you can absolutely walk around and make sure you're being safe and that you're alert. You have to be alert in this city, especially now. You cannot be walking down the street with your headphones on thinking, life is good. I'm in New York City, especially you young fucking kids that move out of your parents' house and come here to college to go away. You still got to keep your wits about you. You still got to be alert, and you still got to keep your head on a swivel. Now, I'm not talking about walking around the street and going, I'm not saying do all that bullshit, guys. I'm saying walk in the street like you know what the fuck you're doing and look around occasionally, Women, unfortunately for you guys, you might have to stop and look around and then look behind you to see if anybody's behind you, especially at night. Don't be afraid to look behind you at night, right? I know some of you don't want to look behind you at night because you think that the guy is going to be, what the fuck you looking at? Or he's got your attention now he's going to follow you. That has happened a couple times. But what you're going to do is you're just going to make sure that there's no one following you. You're going to make sure that you're not walking into a situation. You're making sure you're not going to walk into a shootout, right? You're going to make sure that when you're walking down a block and you hear two guys screaming at each other off the top of their lungs, and that scream, that intense fucking yelling and screaming that can lead to a fist fight, shooting, and stabbing, you want to make sure you're not walking into that. right? You want to make sure you're not walking into a robbery. Okay? You don't want to turn the corner and two dudes are just, waiting for you. You want to make sure that when you turn the corner, you don't turn it so close either, right? When you walk around the corner, guys, you don't walk close to the wall, right? So you don't do this. You're walking down a block, you're making sure you're on the outer edge, and then you're turning. Because at least if you can see somebody around the corner before they see you or you see them at the same time, that gives you enough room to run. Because you know when somebody's waiting around the corner for you because of the way they're standing is their demeanor, right? So here in the city, you have to be alert. Now, ladies, and maybe some of you men, some of you hipster dudes, get yourself some mace, right? Certain places sell tasers. I think Jersey and PA, they sell tasers out there. You can drive out there and get yourself one. You can get one mailed to your buddy's house and have your buddy then mail it to you. These are things you're gonna have to think about because the city's getting bad and no one's going to protect you other than the cops in the aftermath of that attack or whatever might happen. You are undoubtedly on your own, and mace and a taser is the way to go. Now, wasp spray, guys, people are like, you can get wasp spray. You know how fucking big a can of wasp spray is? It's huge. It's fucking heavy at that. Women are not gonna wanna carry wasp spray in their purse. They'll deal with mace. The thing with mace, ladies, is you make sure you have to do it downwind, right? So if the wind is on your back, that's preferably when you wanna do it. When the wind's blowing from behind you, that's preferably. If the wind's blowing off the assailant's back, try to position yourself where you can spray him and not have it, one, bounce off his face onto you, two, have the wind carried in your face. Now you're both rolling around the floor blind, right? So you don't want to be in that situation. You got to keep that in mind. If you're going to use a taser, the taser has to be exposed skin, right? So like in movies, you see them doing it through jackets and shit. No, exposed skin, neck, arm, even a hit in the arm, he'll be like, what the fuck? And give you enough time to run, but in the neck, will stun him. And listen, if the guy winds up dying from it, fuck him. He shouldn't have been fucking with you anyway. You people here in the city, you have to learn how to be more alert. Also, take self-defense classes. Self-defense classes are awesome. I'm seeing women who are taking like mixed martial arts, real martial art class, real street fighting shit, ladies. Don't take, some martial art class where you're wearing a gi and you're like this and like, yeah. You're not, fuck that bullshit. You're not hi-ya and kataing the shit out of the dude who's attacking you. You want some real street life fighting techniques. You want some shit that's gonna get you out of the situation. You're not gonna sit there and spar with him like Bruce Lee. You're gonna sit there and wanna hit him a couple times and get the fuck out of there. You don't wanna sit there unless the guy's down, you got him good, now he's holding his face, he's on the ground. Then if you wanna fucking give it to him, then you give it to him. But the purpose of you taking a self-defense course is to make sure that you hit the guy, and if he's distracted, then you run, right? And then while you're running, you're thinking of other options on where the fuck to go, who to run into, where to run, and then if he catches up with you again, where you're gonna hit him next. Self-defense classes for women are really good. There have been women that have used it in the past against rapists and robbers, okay? So keep that in mind. And if you're just a tough chick, you're just a tough chick. My mother, back in the 80s, actually early 80s, she was getting robbed for her radio. The guy wanted her radio, and he grabbed it, and she snatched it from him and smashed it on the ground. And then the guy was like, looked at my mother, looked at the radio, and took off. And I think she went to chase him for like a couple feet, and then the guy, crackheads, they like to flash. They took off. So, but again, my mother was a correction officer, so she was a little more tougher in her days. Not so much anymore because, she's older. But anyway, my point is, if you're going to do something, you also want to surprise the person who's robbing you or attacking you. And that surprised them. The guy was like, what the fuck, Instead of her just giving up the radio like probably everybody else has done to him, her smashing it on the floor and then, giving chase, surprised the fuck out of him. So you always want to go for the surprise factor as well. But you got to be careful because there's some motherfuckers out there who don't care. The guy that beat up that lady the other day where the doorman got fired for, not jumping in, which I'm impartial about that whole situation, but there was no way she was going to take that guy on. That guy was huge. She was small. She's older. He's younger. There's no self-defense in the world that was going to train her for that guy. But she could have stunned him and left, right? So hopefully, people are starting to take self-defense a little more seriously now, because that's all we have here in New York, guys. We have self-defense, mace, and a taser. So if a woman's looking to protect herself, ladies, tasers and pepper spray. Men, self-defense. And women, self-defense, hand-to-hand shit. Unfortunately, we can't carry guns here. And I mean, you could, it's just harder, but to carry a gun to defend yourself in the street, that's a no-no. You can only get target practicing here in the city. You can't get concealed carry. If they had concealed carry, there'd be probably way less fucking, well, actually, I don't know if that's true. But a lot less people would be getting robbed and raped if there was concealed carry. Anyway, guys, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching. You can like, subscribe to this channel. You can also follow me on the Angry Truths channel. As the Angry Prepper, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. As the Angry Truths channel, you can follow me on Instagram. Other than that, guys, thank you for watching.